I'm Benthelooney, and I'm awful! Wait, I think that came out wrong. Animation fans, are you seeing all the trailers for animated movies coming out and asking yourself, man, can't people come up with something original anymore? Well, I love Disney movies, some DreamWorks films, and the eventual Pixar movie. It's true that a lot of animated films are commercialized for the mainstream public. But that's not all, folks! There are plenty of hidden animated films out there that are just waiting to be discovered, and I'm here to help you dig them up. These are my top 12 underrated animated movies. Why top 12? Because I'm Benthelooney! You!
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Wow, a CG film on my list? Must be something special. Based off one of my favorite childhood books, a scientist living on an island town in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean invents a machine that causes it to rain food. While this movie differs from the book, it makes necessary changes in order to fit into a movie. The character designs are abstract enough to resemble 2D characters, the animation is cartoony and fast-paced, and to top it all off, it's written and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the guys behind the Lego Movie. That is enough to let you know what a fun-filled movie you're in for. Play with a Chance of Meatballs. As fun to look at as it is to eat. Warning, don't eat your DVDs of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. You know, that's stupid.
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Gulhul. Look at me! I put 2 CG films on my list! Who's biased now, jackasses? Who? Based off the children's book series, a young owl is kidnapped by evil owls and has to escape to find the legendary Guardians and save his land. Talk about a movie that flew away. I remember seeing trailers for it, and shortly after, it disappeared. I didn't watch it until recently, and I love it! I've always been fascinated by owls, ever since reading Owl Moon every night before going to sleep as a kid. So, any movie that's about owls, I'm automatically drawn to it. This is a fantasy action movie that has the feel of an 80s kids film. It's got a gritty atmosphere, an intense story, and plenty of dark moments. And not to mention the animation is fantastic. This is an example of CG being used to its full advantage, as the amount of detail in the movie can't be created using pencil and paper. Legend of the Guardians. Who would have thought it would be so underrated? Heh. Heh.
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Persepolis. In this movie, based off the French graphic novel by Marge Simpson, an Iranian girl grows up during the Iranian Revolution, dealing with death, heartbreak, and what every kid not born in a first world country goes through. Alright, the first foreign film on the list. Get ready, there's going to be plenty of those later. Here's one of the few movies that I watched with the subtitles. This is a film that took me by surprise, as I went in not knowing what to expect from it. It's definitely the kind of movie you wouldn't be seeing from Disney or Pixar anytime soon. It's got lots of mature themes, and it shows us firsthand what people growing up in the Middle East are going through, especially women. Its overall theme is that of a free spirit trying to thrive in a society that's holding her down. It was even nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Film in 2007, but it lost to... yeah... oh well, it's still an unappreciated gem that animation fans should watch. This ain't your grandma's animated film.
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
The Triplets of Belleville. When a French woman's grandson is kidnapped by mysterious agents during the Tour de France, she and her dog go on a search for him and gain the help from a trio of sisters who are retired singers. Let me introduce you folks to French animator, Sylvester Cat, who you might know for animating a couch gag for The Simpsons. Anybody? Anybody see that? Anybody still watching The Simpsons other than me? Okay. What's unique about this film is that it tells its whole story with no dialogue. That's right, no dialogue. How many animated movies can you name nowadays that does that? Time's up. None! The only thing in this movie that comes close to dialogue is the triplets singing their signature song. And that's it! I'm always a sucker for movies that can tell a story without dialogue, especially if it's animated. Animation is a visual medium. Visualize it! And what a movie to visualize, as this film has some of the most fluid and uniquely designed animation I've ever seen. It was even nominated for an Oscar in 2003, but it lost to... yeah... oh well, this is still a modern classic of animation that needs to be appreciated.
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Rock and Rule. Here's an animated movie from Canadiana Land. In a dystopian future of anthropomorphic dog-like creatures, a legendary rock star kidnaps a female singer who he believes has the voice that can give him ultimate power. So the girl's bandmates must get her back using the power of rock and roll! This movie is combining two of the greatest man-made creations, rock music and animation, putting them together to make a truly epic experience. This movie features the musical talents of Debbie Harry, Cheap Trick, Earth, Wind & Fire, Iggy Pop, and the greatest rock star known to mankind, Lou Reed. The guy who very few people heard of, but the people who have started a band. Not gonna lie, the soundtrack is what makes the movie. Being a huge classic rock fan, I eat up this movie as it's pretty much a loving tribute to the genre. People might find the story confusing and the characters forgettable. Except for the villain, of course.
My name is Marjane Satrapi. I know you love the thing you got. You've never seen the likes of me. Why, I'm the biggest thing since World War III, girl.
My McKinson, that's awesome. But who gives a? You know what this movie is about? Rock and roll! If you're a fan of obscure anime movies or rock and roll, check it out. It's an extended animated music video that reminds me why I love rock and roll so much.
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Here's a hand-drawn film from DreamWorks. Yes, they used to make those. In this movie, based off the Sinbad stories from the Arabian Nights, Sinbad is framed by Eris, the Greek goddess of discord, and so he has to set off on a journey to clear his name, if Eris's monsters don't kill him along the way. This was it, folks, the final hand-drawn film from DreamWorks before Jeffrey Katzenberg said that the traditional way of telling an animated story is a thing of the past. Heh heh. You. DreamWorks' problem was that they were trying to make both 2D and 3D movies at the same time, causing audiences to get confused. You can't release a movie like this after Shrek and expect people to go see it. You just can't. It's too different. But it's a good kind of different because I love this movie more than Shrek. Send your complaints to 1-800 I don't give a! Well, this movie is just more up my alley. I grew up with the Ray Harryhausen Sinbad movies, and this film feels like a spiritual successor to those. It's got all the action and monsters to satisfy my inner child. It's not meant to be an Academy Award-winning film. It's meant to be a fun adventure for the whole family, and I think it accomplishes that well. It's a forgotten animated classic that needs to be unforgotten. Because this movie isn't bad, it's Sinbad. Jeez, did Bill Scott return from the grave to write the script for this video?
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
The Road to El Dorado. In the 16th century, two Spaniards find El Dorado, the lost city of gold, and become worshipped as gods. This is a movie that has a cult following among animation fans, but I think it deserves more than just that. It's a movie that resembles a movie from the Disney Renaissance pretty well, as it's an adventure film with lots of danger, great songs by Tim Rice and Elton John, and of course, a load of laughs. Sadly, it bombed at the box office pretty hard, especially for an animated movie at the time. Don't know why, I remember DreamWorks promoted the hell out of this movie. I have a recording of the Fox Kids blog from March 25th, 2000, and each commercial break had a TV spot for this movie. Not to mention that it had a Burger King tie-in. Why wasn't this movie a success? I don't know. I guess the spring isn't a good time to release animated movies. Whatever. This is still an underrated gem that you can find in bargain bins at your local electronics store. Bring it home and get ready for a fun-filled adventure.
Legendary hearts, tearing us apart with stories of their love.
ERNEST and CELESTINE. Another film from France. In a town where bears live above ground and mice live in the sewer, a little girl mouse named Celestine befriends a male bear named Ernest as they go into hiding together after becoming fugitives, and their friendship grows stronger from there. This is the cutest movie I've ever seen! There are so many movies nowadays that are trying to be cute for the sake of being cute. That's what I call cutesy. It's fake cute. This movie doesn't need to force it. It has a story and characters that lets them play off of each other, and leading to the cutest moments I've ever seen in an animated movie. It's made to match the feel of a children's book, as it looks like it was painted using watercolors. But what really sells this movie is it's a simple story of two characters of completely different species coming together. That's just the power of friendship, honey. This movie was even nominated for an Oscar in 2013, but it lost to... I'm done! If you're looking for a movie that just has the power to make you feel good, find yourself a copy of ERNEST and CELESTINE.
Legendary hearts, tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Cats don't dance. During the golden age of Hollywood, an anthropomorphic cat goes to Los Angeles to fulfill his dream of being a movie star, but a spoiled child actor makes it difficult for him. Jeez, even I'm guilty of forgetting this movie exists. I only saw the trailer for it on the Space Jam VHS way back when. That's it! It wasn't until much later when people started asking me if I'd seen it. Well, I finally saw it. Wow, what a criminally underrated movie. Not only is it a satire of Hollywood, it's also a tribute to MGM grand-scale musicals from the golden age of movies. It's full of catchy songs, wonderful animation, and fun characters. But the one that steals the show is Darla Dimple. You wouldn't believe how great this villain is. When she's not cute and sweet, she's loud and evil, and the animation on her is some of the best I've ever seen, period. She moves like she's diabolical and innocent at the same time. Quite a hard feat to accomplish. And since this is a Warner Brothers distribution, it has all the deliciously timed slapstick and humor that the Looney Tunes made famous. It's always a treat to see that. From an era where Disney was dominating the market and every animated movie that came out was trying to copy them, this is a movie that dared to try something new. Sadly, it didn't work out in its favor. Oh well, it's starting to get the recognition it deserves, but it can always use a little more. Find yourself a copy and enjoy the wonderful Hollywood goodness.
Legendary hearts, tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Mary and Max. A lonely Australian girl becomes pen pals with an autistic American middle-aged man as they learn a lot about each other and struggle through their own personal lives. If ERNEST and CELESTINE showcases the bright side of friendship, this one showcases the dark side. This movie has so many depressing themes in it that I had to marathon the whole series of Friendship is Magic 10 times just to pick myself back up. Despite that, this movie is still worth watching. Why? Because how many movies come around nowadays that challenge the viewers enough to make them feel depressed? Not many. This movie deals with the themes of child neglect, obesity, mental illness, isolation, loneliness, suicide, depression, betrayal, and anxiety, all within its 90-minute running time. Just when you think this movie has thrown everything at you, it throws 3 more. It's directed by Adam Elliott, a stop-motion animator mostly known for his short films, which were pretty depressing in their own right. This is his first feature film, and I sure hope it's not his last. Never has a movie had me on the urge of tears so much. It's a film that hit me emotionally as a viewer, proving to me the power an animated film can have. Check out this movie when you can. Just make sure you haven't had anything bad happen to you recently.
Legendary hearts, tearing us apart with stories of their love.
The Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea. I'm putting 2 movies on this spot because they're so similar that I can't talk about one without talking about the other. The Secret of Kells takes place in medieval Ireland. A boy befriends a forest spirit who might play a part in protecting his village from invading Vikings. In The Song of the Sea, a boy and his sister go on a journey to their home, but the sister has a secret power to free souls that are being imprisoned by an owl witch, who attempts to kidnap the girl for herself. These are two movies made by Tom Moore, who's quickly becoming the spiritual successor to Hayao Miyazaki. Both of these movies take a huge influence from Celtic artwork. They're very flat looking, but they're so beautiful to look at. A beauty that I can't compare to any other animated movies I've seen. They're full of magic and wonder that bring us back to how we felt being read fairy tales as kids. These films are just unique works of art that I find hard to talk about here. It's best for you folks to watch them and experience the magic for yourselves. It really shows that not only is 2D animation not dead, it's thriving in a way that people just don't know about. Tom Moore, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Legendary hearts tearing us apart with stories of their love.
Every Ralph Bakshi movie. Ralph Bakshi is one of the most respected, controversial, and creative animators who ever lived. He's made animated films since the early 70s and is still alive and kicking to this day. That being said, he's one of the most unappreciated geniuses I've ever discovered. It's hard to come by anyone outside of animation fans who know who Ralph Bakshi is. Heck, even then, it's hard to find animation fans who know who he is. Probably for a good reason. He was the Zone Sama of his day. He specialized in animated porn movies. I joke. His movies did feature a lot of sex, but his legacy shouldn't be limited to just that. He started out making gritty movies that served as social commentaries on counterculture, racism, and urban living. Later on, he dived into the world of fantasy, being the first guy to bring the Lord of the Rings to the big screen. Bakshi is one of the bad boys of animation, which is probably why his work isn't as well known. It's definitely not for everyone, as it's pretty risque, even by today's standards. He also didn't have the big budgets that Disney had, so his animation isn't the best. But hey, his work is still worth checking out. As a big Bakshi fan myself, I know all of his work isn't going to be for everyone, as not everything he makes is up to par with his best. I recommend Coonskin, Heavy Traffic, American Pop, and my personal favorite of his, Wizards. Those are his best works and should give you a pretty good idea of what he's all about. So, track down some copies of those films and get ready to witness the work of a mad genius. Just be sure you don't watch them at work or school. And there's a list of a little more than 12 underrated animated films. I would say some honorable mentions, but there's plenty more animated films out there waiting to be discovered, and plenty more opportunities to showcase them in another list. I'm Benthelooney, and I'm gonna go make some baked potatoes.
Legendary hearts tear us all apart.